All right, thanks everybody for showing up. We'll wait a couple minutes for folks to roll in. Again, please feel free to introduce yourself in chat. That's what part of this event is for, is ensuring that you get the chance to meet one another. And if you haven't been on Crowdcast before, there's a question and answer queue. You'll see it on the right side of your screen under the question mark icon. There's probably a number 1 highlighted there for you. If you click on that icon, you'll be able to submit questions there, but you'll also be able to upvote questions that are in the queue so that we can focus on topics that are important to you. So just give us a couple minutes for folks to roll in and we'll get started. Thanks again for coming. All right. In the interest of time, let's go ahead and get going. Thanks everyone for showing up. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to spend some time with us. And not only do I hope that this information helps, but I also hope you get to meet some people while you're here. So please, by all means, feel free to use the chat to introduce yourself, share your LinkedIn, whatever you want to do there. It's nice to see that Darius, the president of my fan club, has shown up. This will just be a brief presentation. I really want to get to your questions and help get those answered. So if you haven't used, and you can hear my chair squeak, sorry about that. If you haven't used Crowdcast before, you'll see a little question mark icon on the right of your screen. If you click on that, that'll take you into the question queue. You can submit your questions there. But even if you don't have any questions, check that out, because you can take a look at the questions that have been asked and you can upvote questions that are important to you. Thanks again for coming. Let's go ahead and get going. So the agenda for today, I'll give you a brief introduction on me and Pi. Nice to see so many Pi people here, and folks in chat, feel free to chime in as people ask questions as well. I'm not the only expert here. We've got a ton of great people in the audience, so I'm really happy to see that. First and foremost, I will give you some immediate kind of save the date events that are going to be live events that have already been scheduled, so you can get those on your calendar or RSVP for those events. Some of them, the tickets are going really fast, so want to make sure that you have access to those events, so kind of get you those dates. And then I'll share a selection of monthly gatherings for folks that occur on a regular basis. Good example, Upstart Collective has a happy hour every first Friday of the month, which is a great opportunity to get to know other people in the startup community in a really casual atmosphere. So give you a list of those kind of monthly-ish events that happen on a regular basis, and then some upcoming annual events that either don't have dates yet solidified or kind of take place over a number of months, and so maybe a little longer, but just so that you have those on your radar as well. And then I'll give you a listing, not a comprehensive listing, but at least a list of helpful organizations that may be useful in getting you connected to the community. And finally, some online resources like the Portland Startup Slack, Portland Startup Switchboard, the Pacific Northwest Packaged Food and Beverage List, things like that that can help you interact with your peers online or get the help you need there. Okay, and then finally, of course, get into the Ask Me Anything, the Q&A session, where I will do my best to answer your questions. I may be stumped, you never can tell, but I'm sure even if I don't know the answer to your question, somebody in the audience will know. All right, so with that in mind, let me jump way ahead. With that in mind, let me give you an introduction to me and to Pi, which is the organization I'm the general manager and co-founder of. My name's Rick Tarosi. I've worked on and around Portland venture-funded tech startups for nearly 30 years. For about half that time or slightly more, I've been really working as a community organizer and trying to help people get connected, trying to do wayfinding, just trying to ensure that folks like you who are founders get access to the help that they need, and ensure that other community organizers are getting recognized for the work that they're doing and ensuring that people have access to the resources that they're providing. So Pi, if you're not familiar, is really at its very most basic. It's an ongoing experiment to figure out how established organizations like corporations or educational institutions or government entities can effectively collaborate with the Portland startup community. And so we really try and build bridges between established organizations and startup founders to help them. We've kind of taken the form of a startup accelerator for the past decade or so, meaning that we work in a cohort-based format where we work with a group of startups going through a cohort over a 3 to 4 month period and provide them with the mentorship and resources they need to build the companies they want to build. This year, we will be likely running 2 cohorts. One will be in partnership with Autodesk, which is a manufacturing or physical object related cohort. And then the other one we'll be running is our consumer products cohort, which we run in collaboration with Built Oregon. That's focused on products that have achieved some traction in the market, either through farmers markets or in retail, but they're really looking to take their companies to the next level. And then, of course, this year, we're not running a software cohort, but what we will be doing is doing events like this to help connect the community to resources where they can get the help that they need. So that's Pi. Again, any questions, feel free to put them in the question queue, and we will get those answered at the end of the session, but also feel free to submit those questions in chat because other people at the event may have some responses for you. Now, I'm going to go through a lot of stuff. Don't worry, I will do a recap of this. This is all being recorded. There's going to be a lot of information coming at you here pretty quickly. So sorry about that, but it's a good thing that there's so many things going on in the community. I take that as a positive sign. So get ready. Here are the things that have been scheduled that you need to be prepared to attend or think about attending within the next month. Okay. So kicking off the year is the OEN Pub Talk. Oh, actually, even before that, there'll be a First Friday. I forgot to put that on my list. Sorry, Upstart Collective folks, but I'll make sure and promote that so folks know about that. There'll be a First Friday right out of the gates at Upstart Collective. Then we've got OEN Pub Talk on January 12th. If you're working in AI or thinking about AI, this is a new meetup. It'll be the first kind of inaugural gathering. And last I checked, there were more than 100 people who are already considering attending that event. So it's clearly going to be popular. You will want to RSVP for that. And I believe it has a meetup group. So even if you can't make this one, they'll keep you in the loop on future ones. OEN has a new pitch practice session called Pitch Please that is coming January 16th. Then there'll be the PDX Wit Happy Hour also on January 16th. I believe that's virtual, so that's not a physical thing. That'll be like this. And January, oh, okay, Demolicious is on the 17th. Sorry about that, typo. But I'll make sure and correct that. The 17th is a Wednesday. I should have known that. The 18th is Thursday, which will be Soulful Sips. Then January 20th is a big half-day event out in Hillsborough, the Silicon Forest Tech Summit, which will have a lot of great speakers and an opportunity to meet with a lot of folks out there. January 23rd, a morning event for folks who don't have the opportunity to make it to evening events or maybe have more availability in the morning. Founder.coffee will be happening on that date. For Black men in the Portland startup community, or people who identify as men, the gathering happens the last Wednesday of every month. That's really designed to help. It's not really even a networking event. It's just a social event for Black men in the Portland startup community. It can be a great way to get connected to a wide variety of folks in the community. So if that's something that you're interested in, highly encourage you to attend that. February 1st will be an OEN mixer, again hosted at Upstart Collective. Upstart Labs is historically another thing that was in the Portland startup community that I always trip over. And then happening for about a week in February is the Portland Winter Lights Festival, which is a place where we often see a lot of experimentation from people in the manufacturing space or the hardware space. So that is going to happen around the city with a bunch of installations, but usually a lot of startup people involved in that. And then the big one for February will be Pitch Black, which is competition among Black founded or Black led companies, not only in the Portland startup community, but they received applications from around the United States and even a few international applications. So that should be a really stellar event happening February 7th. But yeah, and I'm glad you got tickets, Listea, because they're going fast. I've heard the tickets are either halfway gone or most of the way gone or something. So if you're interested in doing that, please get your tickets to Pitch Black. And again, I will link all of this stuff up in the recap so that you can get to it easily. Don't worry about jotting this down. You're welcome to take a screenshot or whatever, but I just want to make sure that you have access to all of these amazing events. And Josh, I'll correct the dates and stuff. Again, sorry about that. I kept thinking of things. I'm like, oh, I need to add that. Oh, I need to add that. Oh, there's so much going on. So I may have missed or flubbed a few dates there. So I will get that stuff straightened out. Looking a little further out, we always do something on Pi Day. So March 14th, be looking for Pi to schedule some social event to get folks together. No telling what form that may take, but we will figure something out to make sure that folks get the chance to meet with one another. May 6th is the Oregon Tech Awards. June 20th, major kind of national event called Monitorama will be held here in town. I believe that's taking place at the Armory. A big one that I'm excited about starting September 17th is WordCamp US, which is the largest gathering of WordPress folks in the United States, and they've chosen Portland to be the home for that event this year. So if you're a blogger, you use WordPress to manage your website, could be a great opportunity to meet people from all over the US right here in Portland. And I'm really looking forward to showing off the town to all those folks who will be attending. And then, of course, the big event that comes near the end of the year is the OEN Awards, where all the entrepreneurs are recognized for all the amazing things that they're doing. Cool. So events that will be kind of monthly-ish, like sometimes people take they take the summer off, or they may pause during the holiday season, but usually these are things you can look forward to each month and should kind of keep an eye out on. As I've already mentioned, AI Portland, the gathering, Demolicious is back, of course, which is great. And that will be happening now on a monthly basis. Before, it had been more of a quarterly event, and it will be nice to see that coming back every month, again, at Upstart Collective, first Fridays at Upstart Collective, founder.coffee. I mentioned hardware happy hour. If you're in the hardware space, like Miguel mentioned, like even if you're just a hardware hobbyist, the hardware happy hour can be a great way to connect with folks in that community. Or if you're just curious about what people are doing with hardware, that can be a great spot to check that out. Mentorship Saturdays, if you're interested in connecting with, if you need mentorship or interested in mentoring people or even want to talk peer-to-peer about mentorship, that occurs on Saturdays throughout the year. OEN has that pitch practice that I mentioned. They also have a series of pub talks which occur that allow folks to both get networking time but also learn something from folks in the community. Soulful Sips is the event that's very similar to The Gathering, but it's designed for people, Black women or people who identify as women, to get together on a regular basis, and that happens on a monthly basis. Thai Pitch Club, another opportunity to practice your pitch. And then Social Beer, which is something that kind of was born out of the Portland Startup Slack, is really just a happy hour gathering. Usually happens a little later at night, like 6:30 to 9:30, so that folks can kind of get together and spend some time in real life with folks that they may hang out with on the Portland Startup Slack. So that's that. Then we've got a bunch of upcoming annual events, some of which haven't been completely scheduled yet, so I don't have firm dates for those. In terms of the spring events, Angel Oregon Bio, Oregon Angel Food, Angel Oregon Tech, they'll have cohorts beginning in the spring, and I didn't have a definitive date on when those events would be occurring, but the cohorts have at least been scheduled. So if you're in biotech, if you're working on a food company and would like to be pitching there, or if you have a tech company that you'd like to pitch for Angel Oregon Tech, keep your eye out on OEN events for when those applications are available and that kind of thing. In the summer, Technology Association of Oregon always hosts Party in the Pinot. So that's a big one, great gathering. Folks often come from all over to attend that event in the summer here. In the fall, we have Pitch Latino, which is the kind of sister event to Pitch Black. Again, Latino, Latina, Latine founders get the opportunity to pitch on stage, and everybody walks away with some prize money. Then also October timeframe, we host the Built Festival. That was in Bend this year. We'll be back in Portland next year in 2024. The Built Festival is really focused on folks who are working on consumer products, consumer packaged goods, food and beverage, apparel, footwear, those kind of things, and all the amazing brands that are here in Oregon. You know, we have folks speak from, you know, the Tillamook's of the world all the way down to the newest startups speaking there as well. So if you're interested in consumer products, please make sure to get ready to attend that in October. And then, of course, the big venture event of the year is Bend Venture Conference, which is held in mid-October in Bend, Oregon. And that's another one that draws people from all over the place, but just kind of mark your calendar. Information will be coming out about that. And it's always a good event, not only for networking with people from out of town, but also networking with folks who may be right here in Oregon. I just wanted to take a second to recognize all the organizations that are doing work around the startup community. This is by no means exhaustive, but this is a really like pseudo-comprehensive list of all the different facets and all the different people who are working on the startup community here. Built Oregon, as I mentioned, really designed to work with consumer products folks. Business for a Better Portland began with the premise of, what if businesses work to collaborate with government entities rather than be combative? And what could we achieve here in Portland if we all work together? That tends to have a very startup and small business focus. So if that sounds interesting to you, please check that out. Climate Curious is really for folks who are doing climate tech or who are working on climate change solutions. They organize that community on a regular basis. Community co-pack is for food and beverage founders who are at early stages, maybe don't have access to production facilities. Community co-pack helps them get access to the resources they need, but they also organize community events. Latino Founder is the organization behind Pitch Latino, but they also run an accelerator program and hold other gatherings. Oregon Bioscience Incubator, I hope my voice holds out for this whole thing. Oregon Bioscience Incubator is designed for biotech and healthcare and digital healthcare companies. OEN, of course, is entrepreneurship writ large. So anybody doing anything entrepreneurial has a chance to connect at OEN. So that could be everything from services-based industries to all the way through tech startups and food and beverage startups. So that's a great organization just focused on all things entrepreneurial. And there may be some folks in the chat from OEN that talked about swinging by. So if you have specific questions about OEN, they may be able to answer those for you. PDX WIT, which started as PDX Women in Tech, but has really become the inclusive tech organization for the community. They consistently program and have great events. Everyone is welcome. Highly encourage you to check those out. Pi, of course, you're soaking in it. I kind of explained it a little bit earlier, but we will be working on a couple of cohorts this year, but really in the tech space, we will be focused on supporting and amplifying other organizations like Upstart Collective or Pitch Black or Pitch Latino to help them build the programs that they want to build and ensure that people understand all the things they're doing to support the community around here. We'll also do some community stuff, but probably won't be as noisy as we are on a regular basis. Pre-game, which is really designed for services-based companies and small businesses with coaching and support there. The Prosper Portland Inclusive Business Resource Network is a whole host of organizations that work with startups and entrepreneurs, both like culturally relevant organizations as well as specifically focused organizations. So those can be a great way. Connecting with Prosper can be a great way to get the resources that you need to work on your startup. Startups for All is another accelerator program designed to support early stage founders. The Technology Association of Oregon is really the vertical professional organization for all things technology. So, you know, everything from the biggest technology projects going at Nike all the way down to the earliest stage technology companies here in Portland. TIE Oregon is an organization designed to support early stage entrepreneurship, both through mentorship, but also they have a really good angel network that often funds things around here. So they can be a great one to engage with. And if you're just getting started and could really use some help, like figuring out your business, TIE Oregon runs a great boot camp a couple times a year that is basically a night class that allows you to keep working your day job, but kind of learn a lot of stuff about how to build your business and what it might take to get your startup off the ground. Upstart Collective, as I mentioned, has been doing a ton of work, really heavy lift in terms of organizing community and running events and providing space. So especially in the tech space, if you're an early stage tech entrepreneur, make sure and check out Upstart Collective. They're in Southeast Portland. VirtuLab, again, another client tech org, really designed to help folks who are working in the climate space. And then Accelerate is focused on businesses founded and led by people who identify as women. And they do everything from peer mentoring to events to community management and those kind of things. So if you're a woman leading a company or have founded a company, that can be a good one to check out. Finally, before we get into the question and answer, and again, just a reminder, if you haven't used this platform before, there's a little question mark icon on the right side of your screen. If you click on that, you'll see the questions in the queue. You can submit your own questions or upload questions that have already been submitted. And if you'll excuse me 1 second, I'm just going to take a sip of tea. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. While I know everyone is hungry to get back to in-person stuff, and a lot of people are working very hard to create a lot of in-person events or networking opportunities for people to gather, sometimes you still need access to resources online. And so this is a list of some of those resources to help keep you connected to the community, even if you don't have the opportunity to attend events on a regular basis. Calligator is really, it's kind of fallen into a bit of disrepair, but I know that I and a number of other people in the community are really interested in helping kind of reboot that project. Calligator is basically the aggregated tech calendar for the Portland startup community. So anything that's going on in the Portland tech community, be it posted on Meetup or Eventbrite or Cvent or what have you, that's really the aggregator where you can go and figure out all the things going on in the tech community. So I have one request for all of you. If you're creating events or hosting events that are designed for the tech community, please get back in the habit of posting those to Calligator as well. Not only will it help highlight and amplify what you're doing, but it will also ensure that folks know where to go to figure out what's going on in the community. So I would really love to see Calligator rebound and become the amazing resource that it once was for everybody in the community. If you're working in food and beverage, then I can't recommend this list more highly. It's the Pacific Northwest Packaged Food and Beverage Discussion List. It's really just an email discussion list, but it's super active, and there are a ton of people on there, both people seeking help, people providing help. Again, if you're doing CPG, food and bev, make sure and get on that list. You won't be sorry. It's a great resource for everyone here. The Portland Startup Slack is just a Slack instance. It's open to everyone. Anyone can sign up, even whether you're in tech or startups or not. And it's really just designed to give people a way to kind of chat with one another and get the word out about things going on, or like, you know, products launching or what have you. So that's just a great kind of chat environment. Portland Startup Switchboard is really designed to support kind of this ask and offer kind of behavior. So if you're looking for something, you can go to Portland Startup Switchboard and say, hey, I need help with this, or has anybody got any desks or got a VCR or whatever it is you need. But you can also go there and say, hey, we're shutting down our office and going fully remote. We have a bunch of office furniture for sale. Does anybody need it? Or things like that. So really just basic ask and offer kind of behavior. It's a great resource for that. And for anybody in the startup community, be they tech-based or otherwise. And then 2 meetup groups. The one that you're already a part of most likely is the Pi and Portland Startup Community Meetup Group, where we will try and highlight programs and events going on and ensure that you're aware of them. And then the Startup Your Startup Meetup Group, which has really been the repository for kind of events that are happening at Upstart Collective, but also throughout the community. So that can be another good one, just to kind of as a catch-all to make sure that you're hearing about events and where they're being held. Thanks for dropping that link, Josh, on the Portland Startup Slack. If you go to that pdxslack.com, you can sign up for the Startup Slack and you'll be right in there. Again, please, no spamming. There's a channel called the Hype Channel where you're welcome to self-promote all you want, but the other channels are really designed for people supporting one another or getting their questions answered. And then finally, I know I talk about it a lot, but the Portland Business Journal and Portland Inno are, and the work that Malia Spencer is doing and Demi Lawrence over there, are really just great resources for keeping tabs on all the things happening in the Portland startup community. They're professional journalists who are being paid day in and day out to share news about what's going on here. So highly encourage you to track on those and subscribe if you have the wherewithal to do so, to support. That is a great resource. Silicon Florist is my personal blog. I also run it as a newsletter and a podcast and a YouTube channel and all those things. Not a journalist. Again, I always like to highlight, I'm more of a cheerleader than a journalist. So, but if you have things going on that you would like amplified, be they events or launching products or, whatever is happening in the Portland startup community, please feel free to send that my way and I can work to highlight that on Silicon Florist. Always happy to do that. The Silicon Forest newsletter is the product of a great repository of jobs and companies right here in the Portland area. They do a great job of kind of keeping everyone up to date on who's hiring, what's available, those kind of things. And then the Techstars Startup Digest for Portland also does a really good job of sharing resources for folks. Okay, so that I tried to go through that quickly. Sorry, my voice didn't hold up, but that kind of brings us to the Ask Me Anything. So I'm going to, looks like we got a few questions in the queue. I'm going to at least reveal my face. Okay, so I'm jumping in to the questions. Feel free to keep putting questions in there or upvoting questions there. Let me just take a look at this first one. I think I've kind of already answered the one that's at the top of the queue, but this is basically a question about manufacturing and startups in Portland. Really, the center of that activity is Pi Shop, which is an Autodesk project that they run in collaboration with Pi. There are also some great maker facilities like the Past Lives facility, as well as Control H. So those can also be places where there's some interesting manufacturing stuff going on. And then the Loop folks, which are robotics, automation, software engineer folks, are getting more and more active in the community and hosting more and more stuff. So that could be another good place to be checking those kind of things out. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm done answering that one. The next one, where do you RSVP or find all of these events? Great question, Prince. So yeah, the problem is that things are scattered all over the place, right? Like some of us use Meetup and some of us use Eventbrite, and TAO uses Cvent quite a bit. So they're all over the place. That's why I'm really hopeful that we can kind of get Calligator going again, so that we all have a central resource for, knowing what events are happening. Or like, I see Amina in the crowd. Like if Radius is doing a rad work day and people can come co-work together in one of the amazing Radius spaces, then if that's on Calligator, more people are going to see that and they're not going to have to like track down where that's happening. So I'm really hopeful that we can get Calligator up in that regard. Portland Startup Slack is another great place. People do a good job of promoting their events there and kind of like highlighting what's going on in the community. I also try and highlight other events happening there in the community, and also on Silicon Florist, specifically through the newsletter, try and keep a running tab on all the events. So those can all be spots, but yeah, the easy answer is stuff scattered all over the place. So you kind of have to go to some of those central resources to get those. Thanks for asking, Prince. Appreciate it. Next question. Could you tell us about Pi plans for 2024? Any dates for Pi Shop? Okay, so let's start with Pi Shop. No firm dates yet, but Miguel is here. I encourage you to grab some time with him. He worked for Pi, now works for Autodesk, so he knows both worlds. And we still work really closely with Miguel and Denise on the Pi Shop project and trying to figure out those dates. But no definitive dates yet. I would just say we tend to run those programs either mid-year or later in the year, so you haven't missed anything, I guess is the easiest way to put it. We're still kind of figuring out what we're going to do, what it's going to be looking like, and when that may run again. And then Pi plans for 2024, you're kind of looking at it like we took some time to kind of assess the community over the past couple of years and kind of what a post-pandemic world may look like. And we really decided that, for the most part, an accelerator program is maybe not the right tool for the community right now. And so we decided, rather than really pushing that agenda, we would press pause on some of our accelerated activity and really just get back into the community, figure out where we can be helpful and what the community needs, and just really engage and amplify what's going on in Portland right now. So beyond our work with Autodesk and our work with Built, Pi does not have any definitive plans for 2024 beyond community building, community organizing, and community amplification. So hopefully that answers that question. This is a quick one. Josh already answered it. How do we join the Portland Startup Slack? There's a link in the chat, but it's basically pdxslack.com. If you go to that, it'll take you right to the sign up. Next one, where would one go for the updates to Mentorship Saturdays events? Again, Josh was kind enough to answer that question as well. It's a meetup group that you can sign up for, and that'll keep you in the loop with what's going on there. I believe it's just meetup.com/mentorship-Saturdays. But again, Josh was kind enough to drop that link in chat, so you can get to that. And then if you subscribe to the Silicon Florist newsletter, I regularly include Mentorship Saturdays on that list of upcoming events, so that folks are aware of that, because it's not always top of mind, especially with events that occur with such regularity. Sometimes folks kind of tune in and tune out on that kind of stuff. So I always try and highlight those as well. Next question. Do you have a compiled list of local financial resources for early stage startups and founders? Things like pitch competitions with prizes, etc. I don't know. That's a great question, Stephen. Thank you for asking. There's not a comprehensive list. There's no. The answer is no. So there's not a comprehensive list, but that's a great idea. I would be willing to kind of take on that task of creating that. That might be another good place to use our GitHub instance. So we have a GitHub page that anyone can update that kind of tries to keep a running list of what's going on in the community and those kind of opportunities. But I think that would be hugely helpful for founders. I love that. Great idea. I could also see not only the competitions and the prizes, but like, here are the application dates and here are the due dates and all those kind of things. I could also see that encompassing more national opportunities. Like, I regularly promote South by Southwest pitch as part of the pitch competitions that I promote to founders. So that could be another opportunity there, but I love that idea. Thanks for suggesting that. And that's something I will definitely take on as a task. Okay, looks like we've cleared the queue in record time. None too soon, because my voice is going, but thank you all for coming. Really appreciate having you here. Oh, okay, here's one. Chuck, thanks, Chuck. And feel free to keep adding, folks. I don't need to stop. I've got time. I've got time for you and your questions. Let me take a sip here. My festive holiday mug. So, Chuck, thank you. You've been at this for a long time. How is 2023 activity compared to other years? 2023 was definitely a rebuilding year and a comeback year. Towards the end of the year, the last 3 months or so, activity was on par with what I saw in the startup community coming out of the .com boom, coming out of the mortgage crisis, and that only promises to continue. I saw a lot of positive signs, both through community organizing and community building activity, but just in general startup activity. and especially in the tech world, kind of more momentum around artificial intelligence. I think that's creating some momentum in the community. And a story that Malia Spencer covered that is an interesting thing that's happening in the consumer products world is people leaving Nike or other major consumer products brands to begin startups of their own, and that's showing some really positive momentum as well. So I am bullish on the Portland startup community. And like people are like, you've been bullish on the Portland startup community for 30 years, but I am bullish on it. I was a little concerned 2021, 2022, concerned 2023, started to alleviate some of that concern. So my hope is that 2024 is where we really enter the year with some momentum. We have all these great events. We have people getting together and kind of the community kind of rebuilding those bonds that they need to get stuff done, meeting the people they need to meet, and really just continuing that momentum into 2024. So I'm really excited about it. I think we have a huge opportunity, but that's all thanks to the work that folks did in 2023. I mean, a good example of Pitch Black, the fact that they got applications from 20 states and the country of Kenya, like that's a good sign that Portland's coming back and the Portland startup community is doing some really interesting stuff. So I think 2024 is going to be a good year. I think we should just all get engaged, start working with one another, show up to these events that people are doing, and we're all going to have a good year in 2024. Okay, next one from Josh Carter. For people that want to help founders get involved with events, learn about how they can help do more community work, where should they start? Great question. Folks who know me, I'm always like, if you're looking around and you don't find the thing you need, then start the thing that you need. And I think so often folks worry about recreating the wheel or stepping on toes, or maybe they just haven't done their due diligence. But I'm always a fan of folks starting more things, and then we can kind of assess and combine and reorganize as time goes on, but at least start throwing those things out there, start doing things, start getting the community going. From time to time, Josh, we have tried to do peer groups of people who are focused on moving the community forward. It may be time to do that again. Maybe that's somewhere where Pi could be helpful, is organizing a community of community organizers, organizing a community of community organizers, or something along those lines, kind of peer-to-peer mentoring, people keeping, one another apprised of what they're seeing in the community or what opportunities they're seeing, or like what things aren't working for the community. That could simply start as a conversation on the startup Slack or something along those lines. It doesn't have to be a terribly heavy lift. I just think, to your point, Josh, there are a lot of amazing people in town doing a lot of organizing and community building, but they may often feel like startup founders, they may often feel that they're kind of all alone, or they don't know where to start, or they don't know where to find the resources they need. Like space is always a good example. Like I constantly get inquiries about, hey, I want to do this event. What space is available for me to do this event? So again, it sounds like twofold. Like let's just get the conversation started. Happy to spin up a channel on the Portland Startup Slack where we can start that conversation, but also some documentation, formalization of available resources and common sponsors and those kind of things that might benefit folks who are doing that kind of work as well. And then, it gets a little meta, but a meetup for the organizers who are organizing meetups could also be helpful as well, or even just a regular informal gathering. So love that question. I think that you're thinking about it exactly the right way. Like, how do we all support one another? Not only how do we support the founders in our community, but how do we support the folks who are supporting founders? I think that could be really valuable. So thank you for asking that question. I love that one. Okay, now I may be done with the queue. All right, that wasn't bad. 45 minutes. Again, I'm here, I'm around, happy to answer questions whenever. I've taken away a couple tasks that we need to be thinking about. One is the pitch competitions or funding opportunities, and the other is the organizers, organizing the organizers or helping the organizers do what they do a little bit better, or ensure that they have the help that they need. Thank you for making time to come. Again, please don't be shy. If there's stuff that Pi or I can be doing to help, if there are things I should be writing about on Silicon Florist that you wish more people were hearing about, please let me know. Always happy to do that stuff. I'm just scanning the chat. Thank you for all you folks who showed up and took the time to ask questions and participate in chat. I'll write all this up. I'll make sure you have all the links. Please get some downtime. It's the holidays. It's the one time as a startup founder or a community organizer that things quiet down a little bit. So I just want to encourage you to do take some time to relax a little bit over the next week or so, and it'll be there. It'll be there when we get back. We'll get it done. Really looking forward to 2024. There's some amazing people doing incredible work. I look forward to continuing to support them. I look forward to getting more people in the community connected or rebuilding the bonds that have been strained by the pandemic and the isolation. Really look forward to getting that back. But I for one am pretty bullish on 2024, and I would really like to see you out and about at all of these events and engaging with folks. So I hope to see you there. Hope to run into you. Before I let you go, Catherine Latham just asked a question about any resources out there for founders not seeking funding or rapid growth. Two off the top of my head. There's a meetup for bootstrap founders. So folks who aren't seeking any outside investment, just want to grow a company on revenue. That's a great meetup run by Pat Chung. And then the other thing I would offer is Zebras Unite, which should be pretty easy to find. You can just search for it. But there's a Zebras Unite Portland chapter. Zebras Unite was founded by a couple folks here in Portland and a couple other folks. But it was really designed to be that counterpoint to unicorn behavior. So the opposite of a unicorn is a zebra. And in their hypothesis. And so look up Zebras Unite Portland. And I did see some folks who are in the zebra community here in the chat, so they may be willing to connect with you on that as well. And that's a good one. Thank you, Catherine. Inclusive Business Resource Network could be another good place to look. Tons of resources there, not just like venture funding and scaling startups and that kind of thing, but building businesses. And if it happens to be a retail business, make sure and look at sorry, I was reading the chat. Bricks Need Mortar is a good one. Bricks Need Mortar. And then again, as I mentioned before, highly encourage you to take a look at Business for a Better Portland, which attracts all kinds of different businesses, startup, small businesses, and more established businesses, but they're not a growth at all costs kind of organization. They're a really community-oriented organization as well. So that may be helpful too. Cool. All right. Thank you, everyone. Good to see you. Happy holidays from Startup Santa. And we'll look forward to running into you next year in 2024. And I'll be trying to attend events even as the introvert I am, I'll be showing up to events. So I hope to see you there. And until then, I hope you and yours have a very happy holiday. All right. See you later, everybody.